my new video. Today I'm going to be talking about Dio's Last in Line, and this is specifically a review on this album. A lot of people, you know, if you've watched my other videos before and stuff like that, you see that my videos are more like stories, and of course with a little bit of review. Hey, you want a review on this album? It's an awesome album. You know those stories of musicians and band members talking about their favorite album and when they first heard a song? Well, that's what this is, and this is the album that did it for me. It was back in 1984. Me and my brother and some of his friends were walking from our house to Jerry's house, and we had to stop at his house for some reason, and we were heading to the park to either play football or baseball. I'm not sure. It was back in the fall of 1984. And when we walked into Jerry's room, there was a Dio poster. I believe it was this one. I think so. And then these tins of Skull Chewing Tobacco stacked up in a pyramid. And so we started playing the song Last in Line. Of course, you'd use a sample of it. You know what it sounds like. I don't want to get a copyright strike. But started playing that, and I'm like, oh, this is a slow song. And then next thing you know, we are coming. And then he shouts home, you know, we're coming home. And I was just like, hey, holy cow, this is a heavy rocking one. Alright, it started off slow. I didn't know too many songs that did that back then. This is back in 84 anyways. So I heard it, and I'm listening to it, and I was just like, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. This is awesome. And I really loved it. So by the time the song ends, he was, you know, we're the last in, and then Jerry's saying, we're the last in, we're the last in. He's describing them in the concert. I didn't even hear him. I was just like, oh wow, I missed everything that he was talking about, because I was just so transfixed and focusing on the song that I heard. It was just blown away by it. So within that month, I wind up getting the tape, and I bought the tape twice. Even they had shirts, and back up at the old mall, I was like, oh cool, awesome, a Dio shirt. And the Dio shirt, which I wish I still had, of course wouldn't probably fit me anyways, but it looked just like this. And I loved that shirt. I wore it like almost every single day for like a week straight. Anyways, I wore it for a while, and then of course it's one of those things you get rid of you wish you never have. Anyways, Last in Line was an awesome album. We rock. Last in Line, I Speed at Night, Breathless, Egypt, The Chains Are On. An incredible album. Vivian Campbell was awesome on this. I know Holy Diver was first, but I heard this one first. So, you know, I was new to the stuff that was going on. So, you know, with the logo, you probably have seen things online about it, where you put the logo upside down and it says devil, and it spells devil. Who the heck knows? They were doing this back in 84. I remember back when they had the tape. They were like, or the shirt, they were like, oh yeah, look, flip it upside down, it says devil. So they were doing it back then. Who the heck knows? Odd, weird coincidence. Maybe because of the writing style of that stuff. It looks like it probably says devil. Who the heck knows? Here's a little screenshot of that. They were doing that back in 84 when doing the Last in Line, because I was like, oh, it kind of bugs me. And I was like, well, it kind of bugs me. And I was like, oh, don't think about it. Forget, it's probably nothing. It's probably just a weird coincidence. Then I tried to get all kinds of cool stuff, a tape or a shirt or whatever I could find, even though I consider I had that much money back then. But during September, and this probably had to be like probably like 85, 86 at the time, I saw these mirrors, and the fair would have these mirrors, and geez, you just had to break a balloon for $1 or $2, and you would be able to get a prize. And then for a lot of the prizes, there were these mirrors, these so-called mirrors. You couldn't even see a reflection or anything, but they were just pieces of glass, and they were in these like cardboard frames. Man, I had several of those. I wish I still had those. I have a couple. Here's a little clip of the two that I do have. I think maybe when I got this in 85, the mirror says 1985 on it during the fair. And then they got this one in 1986. Because right during that summer, it was the new album. Playing the Black Sabbath Live Evil album, I heard this, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this. I'm like, what the heck's with this? I go, this is an odd version of it. Then somebody's like, that's Ronnie James Dio, man, that's Dio. And I was like, oh, okay, is that? I didn't know. I'm like, oh, okay, so back then in '85, I learned that Dio was with Black Sabbath at some point. I didn't know that back then. I was learning things, it was still new to the scene, you know. So I learned that Dio was with Black Sabbath. I never heard of Elf or Rainbow. It wasn't until years later I heard of songs from Elf and Rainbow and stuff like that, which is pretty good. So I didn't buy Sacred Heart until 1987. I see Sacred Heart in the music store, and it was in 1987, even though the album came out in '85. And I was like, oh, Dio's got a newer one? I didn't know that. And, you know, between '85 and '86, who knows what the heck. I was doing other things, listening to other stuff and whatnot. I just didn't see the video. MTV didn't play it, you know, for some weird reason, or I didn't see it. But I got Sacred Heart, and I looked at the inner notes and stuff, and Cold Vinny Appease, I believe. And then, of course, Vivian Campbell's still in band, so I was like, oh, that's cool, and it's neat. I like Sacred Heart. The Dream Evil. Once again, the same thing happened again. Dream Evil came out in 1987. I didn't get that one until '88. I Could Have Been a Dreamer was a really cool song. And featuring the new guitarist Craig Goldie. So I was like, oh, Vivian Campbell's in the band, that rocks. Because Vivian Campbell there for a while wasn't really doing anything. But I thought Craig Goldie was pretty good. Alright, so Dream Evil was an awesome tape. I really liked it. There was a lot of cool songs on there. I Could Have Been a Dreamer was like one of my favorite ones. And then the part where he says, I heard about a rainbow. And at that point, that's when I was like, hey, geez, he mentions dragons and kings, and he mentions rainbows a lot. Is all the Fool Sailed Away. I know you're like, oh, well, there's a video for it. Well, there's a video for it because it was definitely one of his best songs, and somebody was like, either him or somebody was like, hey, you should do a video for this song. Incredible song, great melody, the keyboards in it, the solo in it, the guitar solo. It's just such a really cool, awesome song. It's, I think, one of his best. Lock Up the Wolves came out in 1990, and by this time I knew that there was the album coming out, so I bought it really quickly. I was like, alright, I need to buy this album here. So I bought it right when it came out, and it featured once again a new guitarist, Rowan Robertson, which was some British English kid that was like 19 years old, so that was the rave. It was like, oh hey, this kid's like really young, and it's Rowan Robertson, and it's going to be a star and stuff, just like Thomas McRocklin from what Steve Vai set up there. And of course, you know, that nothing really came of that kid. That kid just disappeared anyways. But one of the cool things about Lock Up the Wolves was that Simon Wright was on drums. So Simon Wright, formerly of AC/DC, I was like, oh cool, it's good to see Simon Wright get a gig, and he's playing with Dio, some, you know, joining another rock metal band kind of thing. So the best two songs off Lock Up the Wolves are Wild One and Hey Angel, around with two of the videos that he did. Highways came out in 1994. It was the return of Vinny Appice on drums, and featured Jeff Pilson on bass from Dokken. I figured in 1994, I was like, hey, it's been 10 years now. I looked at the album cover and I was skeptical about getting it. There was no music video or anything. I wasn't watching MTV or any of that jazz. So I was like, oh, well, 1994, from 84 to 94, I've been a fan here for 10 years. And something just made me say, oh yeah, I think I should buy this album. I should buy this tape. I felt as though I had to. So I got it, and it was pretty good. There's some good songs off it. So 2000 marked the return of Greg Colty on guitar, Jimmy Bain, on bass, and then Simon Wright on drums. Those guys kind of like left here and there. It's kind of confusing because this guy's on the album, then he wasn't on the next album, then he was on the following album. So they did that a lot. I know Simon Wright and of course Greg Goldie played on several albums. It gets confusing by then. There was like a revolving door with bands and stuff like that, with lineup changes. It was kind of annoying sometimes. I put this in, oh yeah, I forgot. I bought Intermission in 1987. So that's what it was. So that's what it was before I bought Dream Evil. I bought Intermission in 1987 and I thought that was the new album. So slip that in there somewhere. Whoops. Here's what the Intermission cover looks like. It was a live album. It was cool. I'm glad I got it, but I was thinking that was the new album when I was purchasing it, and it totally slipped my mind. I was like, oh, Intermission, okay, this is the new one? I still didn't really know what the hell was going on back then. Alright, so once again, okay, this gesture, the Evil Eye, known as the Malacino in Italian. Ronnie James Dio has mentioned before that his Italian grandmother used to do it to ward off the evil eye, ward off evil spirits. It's just an old thing. It gets complicated with the old magic stuff. And basically, when you look at it, and to ward off the evil eye, or to have somebody not look at you that way, you know, they're giving you a dirty look, they're looking down on you, and if you do it carefully, you'll notice that it kind of levels out with the eyes to, you know, poke out their eyes if somebody's looking down on you, or giving you the evil eye, which the evil eye is just a dirty look of some kind of spell. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the whole thing. This is used a lot in heavy metal. I hardly ever really do it. I think that Dio's grandmother invented it, or excuse me, Dio's grandmother, you know, used it. I definitely believe that story. I know that it gets complicated, and this is used too much. That's for sure. And Dio has mentioned that. He said until, you know, there was just everybody just doing it, and there's too many people doing it, it's kind of lost its meaning or whatnot. But anyways, that's just another little tidbit I wanted to throw in there. Master of the Moon, End of the World, one of Dio's greatest songs of 2000, one of his newer songs that I think is an absolute great song. Dio was great. I could go into stuff with like Elf and Rainbow and stuff like that. And Black Sabbath, I like Mob Rules, I like Heaven and Hell, those are really cool songs, or albums. And I like some of the stuff he did with like Rainbow and Elf, some of the songs I heard from them. Won't get into that now, just focusing on specifically Dio's solo career. And just like with Ozzy Osbourne, I like his Black Sabbath stuff, but I like his solo stuff better. Thanks a lot for watching. Tell me what in the comments below what was your favorite and first Dio album, whether it was Black Sabbath or the Dio solo album. Thanks for watching. Oh, and as an added bonus, here are some Dio related memes that I did not create.